there. Okay, so I haven't been on in a while, and I haven't been working as hard on this as I probably should have, but I've had crazy, insane times at work. So at this point, here are your updates. Here's what's going on. And what I'm going to do is try to kind of keep an eye on the chat because on the computer it doesn't seem to work as well. But the wig is dreaded, and what I did was I got um, this really awesome yarn stuff that I found. I found a version of this that was like real silk and it was hand done and it was gorgeous, but it was like $40 for a skein. And I basically said, "Do you have this but cheap?" And they did. I don't even know what it's called, but it's some sort of like acrylic type yarn. And it's I don't know how well you can. Okay, you can kind of see it there. So there's like thin bits, and then it gets thicker and stuff like that. And it's really, really pretty. And I got green and I got orange. I was going to look for red and yellow and things like that, and they didn't have them. All they had was this kind of orange color, and they had this green color. But what I did is I dreaded the whole wig, but then I took it, and the wig is not this long. I like added extra pieces into it with all of that. So it's super, super long now. I don't know how much you can see that, but I did discover just now walking in that this stuff sticks to the styrofoam or the foam on these stilts really bad, and it tears at it. So I'm probably gonna have to make some of them a little bit shorter because they're gonna catch on the stilt covers and it's gonna be a pain in the neck. But anyway, the top of the wig doesn't look good right now. The top of the wig, because of how I've had to pull it. Let me see if I can put this underneath here. Yeah, sort of. You can't. It just doesn't look right. But that's okay because I'm gonna build a little crown thing onto this, so it'll look better. But anyway, it turned out kind of neat. I'm kind of excited about it. I still may add some extra layers of these things into it just to give it extra fullness and extra length because I have a lot of this left. But it's workable right now, so I'm kind of excited about that. I took a lot of this wax wrap cord, any of the dreads that I did that didn't turn out good or just in random places to help differentiate the colors from other colors. I kind of, if you can see there now, maybe, I don't know. I kind of wrapped them in the wax cord and it sticks pretty well with that wax cord. Here, actually, you can kind of see the wig up close there a little bit. Anyway, so yeah, so wig in a much better place than it was. And I will take that off because it's also really heavy in the back because of all that extra stuff that I added into it. So it's going to take doing something creative with my hair to really attach this wig so it does not fall off. But that's okay. I just dropped it. Hang on a minute. Okay. Yeah, okay, so here's what happens, just so you can see. This is the wig. This is the Stiltcovers. They just stick like Velcro. It's insane. I will probably have to find a solution so that I don't rip my wig apart. But yeah, that's it, like full length. It's really, really long. It probably won't be able to be that long because of the Stiltcovers, but right now it's super, super long. Anyway, but I was super, super scared about this wig and if it was going to turn out and if it was going to look good, and I don't know. This wig terrified me, and so I'm feeling a lot better about it right now. Stiltcovers, next thing. So hang on, here in the ponytail. This is easier. Next thing, Stiltcovers. Stiltcovers are now fully cut, formed, spray painted all dark brown. The difficulty with that is that they're just all brown. It's not very interesting to the eye. So I need to add some color to them. I need to add some layers. I got some old leftover acrylics that were a bunch of different colors of brown and just kind of mixed them all together into a container because then I didn't have to go out and buy a bunch of acrylic. And it turned out this kind of cool reddish sort of color. And so I started using like a sponge brush to paint onto it, and it's giving it some nice texture there. It's giving it some nice layers. That's not all I'm going to do, but that's a good start. That's a good, just get this color all over this, and then I can add in some other colors too. I've got some greens and maybe some yellowishes. Yeah, some other kind of colors that will give it a little bit of depth. Haven't quite figured out what yet. I even found let me see what other colors I find in just random storage-y places. Yeah, I found a purple, like a black plum that I thought would be really interesting. There's some greens, so I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet, but right now I just need to get this base part down. So, but, and this is killing my sponge brush. I've got a backup one. I've got a brush. I have, oh, I found some makeup sponges around, and I figured I'd try those because those are meant to be nice and stiff and last a while. I don't know what's going to work. We'll figure it out. But I did realize that by getting a little bit behind on this and not quite keeping up with it at the speed that I originally intended, I'm now cutting it a little closer on my deadline than I would love to. I'm sure I'm not the only one doing that, but I am one of the ones doing that. So, so I needed to get on top of this and take it a little bit more seriously and really get going, because my deadline for any submissions is the 15th of September, and it is, I don't know, what is it, the 4th, the 3rd? Yeah, so I'm in a really good place. I can definitely get done. I just need to actually do this. The hard part, the really super time consuming part is done. That's the wig, and carving these Stiltcovers, which just took forever. But yeah, now it's just the painting, and at this point, it's more decorative stuff with the Stiltcovers here. This is more just making them look pretty. What else? Oh, I have the corset. At this point, I've decided I'm going to go with a brown corset look, which I think I said at some point, but just in case I didn't, surprise, yay, it's corset. I was going back and forth between lots of different things and tops and bottoms and stuff like that, and I think the corset's going to be prettiest. It's a really pretty rich brown. I'll get it out in a minute or in a little while, maybe when my hands aren't covered in paint. Actually, you know what? My hands aren't covered in paint yet. It's better to get it out now before they're covered in paint. Okay, so this is it. It's a really pretty brown. I'm going to replace the back. Actually, you know what? Here. Haha, I can do this. I'm going to replace the back with something that looks a little bit more viney. The front had hooks, which are just a pain in the neck to put on. So that's the kind of overall look for it. Of course, I won't have a tank top with it, but what I also have to do is I have to pull it in, and in the back, like this is all just brown ribbon, and it's kind of a pain, and I want to do something kind of viney looking, and then I need to add something up here because I do not want to fall out of this thing while I'm walking around in it. And I want to add a little bit here. I had an idea with yarn that I'm not getting to do because it almost seems like I'm just trying to think of something to make it take more time. At this point, I don't have the time, and it just seems silly in hindsight. But I'm going to add some stuff onto this. This is where I've got this cool moss stuff that may go kind of almost as a skirty kind of thing. I'm not sure. Yeah, so the main thing I have to work on now, once I get this painted, is the crown for the head, any decorative stuff I'm going to do with the corset, and then makeup stuff, because I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with makeup yet. I also haven't decided if I'm going to add something to my arms, if I'm going to do branchy stuff, or if I'm just going to do makeup stuff, or if I'm just going to add fabric. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do about my arms, if I'm just going to leave them as is or what. Anyway, but, oh, and I've got some little brown shorts that go with this that match it, that probably, hopefully won't show too much. It's just something underneath whatever comes down from the corset that I haven't figured out yet. So anyway, so that's what we're going for. That's the general look. One of these days I'm going to try the Stiltcovers on with the corset with the wig and just kind of get a look at where we are now. But I want to get a little bit more painting done on the Stiltcovers first, so that and kind of see where we are. Having the dark brown in the cracks is helping this light to stand out. But one of the things that I'm noticing, and you may notice this as I go on, I don't know how well the camera's going to show it, but this foam absorbs paint like it's crazy. It's I'll paint it and it's this bright reddish color here, and then it dries and it's not as bright. I'd like it to be brighter. I may have to add some brightness to it later on to make it stand out a little bit more. I mean, this is a good start, but I went specifically for a brighter color so that it would stand out more, and it's just not staying as bright as I wanted it to, because that foam just sucks up the paint. Anyway, one of the things I realized was that with 15 hours of streaming time that I need to do, someone calculated out for me and told me I was at about 8.5. I'm going to go back and see what I'm like, if that's correct or if I'm a little over or where we are. Because I realized this is episode 7. Is it episode 7? I think it is. So I thought I had more than that under my belt, but if that's accurate, then that means I've got to get 7.5 hours of time with you lovely people in order to have my 15 hours of streaming time. Because God knows I've already worked on this way more than that. But for example, today I was working on the wig and I was just kind of sitting in the other room. I was all comfy. I didn't want to set up the cameras because I was all comfortable and the cat was sitting next to me and it was just kind of chill. And so I didn't set everything up. And then I realized later I probably should have, but oh well. I covered the table in plastic because this stuff is spattering everywhere. Bits and pieces of the foam are also falling off as I go. It's not bad. It's not like chunks of foam are falling off, but just little bits and pieces here and there, which honestly is just giving it texture. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It just, yeah, these are super textured looking. Yay! It's like a real tree, except made of foam. So I feel like I've run out. I'm trying to think of other Silt stories I have because I've told so many at this point. If you guys have questions, feel free to. But yeah, I've talked about Christmas Stilt. I do that Christmas Stilt every year, usually in a couple of different places. I love that costume. It's so simple. It's such a simple little costume, but it's pretty and it's fun, and the little girls love it. And I get to talk to people, and I like it. It's good. I haven't done a Halloween type stilt in a while. I feel like that's my next thing. I mean, I did Halloween stilts at Universal, and I have a scarecrow that I do. I was talking about how I had to change a costume at the last minute with that a few episodes ago. But yeah, I haven't done a Halloween kind of thing. That would be really neat. I have an Easter bunny stilt that I used for something. It was an outdoor event at some sort of resort, like a hotel resort kind of place. And thank goodness they had confidence in me as a stilt walker, because my job was basically to walk around the pool all day making balloon animals for people, just in order to get around. I was probably 6 to 12 inches from the edge of the pool at any given time. But I did not fall in, so that was good. These things would probably just weigh me down and sink me right to the bottom, right? Or I could just stand up on the bottom, so I'd be okay. But then we'd have to deal with rust. This foam brush is not going to last very long. It is just falling apart on me. I thought painting foam with foam would make a lot of sense. I'm trying to dab it because before I was kind of scraping and that was not helping the problem. So I'm trying to dab to get it to last longer. Hi, Matt Sedri. I'm not quite sure how to say your name, but hello. How are you? Thank you for joining me. I am making stilt covers for a cosplay that I'm doing. It's a dryad cosplay. So these are obviously the tree trunks. So she'll be coming out of 2 tree trunks. And yeah, and so far so good. I'm getting more and more excited about this as I start to see it come into play. I picture things in my mind and it's really hard to, until I can see them. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming because I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like. Like the tree trunks, at first I had all these pictures that I printed out that kind of gave me ideas, but it was hard to picture exactly what they were going to look like until I started cutting the foam and seeing how it was turning out. And then I could picture them, and it was the process went faster and it was less disheartening. And right now I'm having trouble picturing exactly how the final product on these is going to look with the paint, the layers of paint, because I want to add layers. I want it to have texture and you know, having the dark down in the cracks of the trees and the lighter on the outside is going to help give them more of a three-dimensional look. And this has almost a reddish or a purplish look to it, pinkish maybe. So I'm gonna need some more color in there because these can't be pink tree trunks, and I don't want them to end up looking like pink tree trunks. But because this is an autumn stilt, having a little bit of red and yellow in there is kind of what I wanted because I figured it would balance with the wig. But I'm probably gonna have to add some greens in just to give it more of a realistic look. But I figure if I can go over the whole thing in this pinkish, purplish, brownish color first, it's a good starting point. The wig I could picture in my mind too, but it was so hard to make that come to fruition. It just took so long. And I feel like I'm closer right now to what I actually pictured in my mind. I'm still having trouble picturing the crown. I'm still having trouble picturing exactly what I want. I think I'm going to switch brushes here. Picturing exactly what I want for the crown. I know I want a spiky look to it. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to permanently attach it to the wig or not because I'm worried about it traveling if I permanently attach it. But I'm also worried about it coming off if I don't permanently attach it. So I've just got to see what my options are. It would be easier in a way if I could just permanently attach it because then it will always sit the correct way. I don't have to worry about lots of bobby pins and things like that. So I'm leaning more towards just weaving it into the wig or sewing it onto the wig, and that way it's just all one piece. I think that might be way, way easier. So some of these paints that I put in here were really old and they're a bit chunky. So I keep getting chunks of just yellow or light brown, but it's kind of realistic for a tree, so hey, it's just chunky stuff on the bark. That works. There are also some areas where my spray paint can, when I was spraying one side of the paint can, the nozzle kind of exploded a little bit, and I ended up with chunks of spray paint everywhere. But once again, I figured it would just look more natural for the tree. So I feel like I'm basically streaming these super, super long, boring processes. Like the wig, I think I streamed twice just putting dreads in those wigs or in that wig. And it just took forever. But I mean, that's costuming work, I guess, is just so often just these long, tedious tasks. So, trying to think of other stilt costumes. Got my Easter bunny. I talked about my pig costume a lot. The one for Pig on the Pond. It's cute. I like it more now. It used to be a pair of pink overalls, and it was really cute, but I redesigned it last year and got my mom to help because she is a way better seamstress than I am, than I could ever aspire to be, probably. And we've been designing a lot more costumes lately with little circle skirts with like crinoline and stuff underneath them. And they're cute and they're girly, and they fit better and they feel better when they're on, and so I just really, really like it. So I liked my costume last year a lot better. I did the same thing. I did some stilt walking for a company around here who does 5K races, or actually they do a lot of races, not just 5Ks. They do 10Ks and all sorts of things. And they had an orange blossom themed race, and so I had a cute little orange blossom themed kind of costume for it. I kind of screwed up in booking that because I underestimated how much the costume was going to cost me to build for it. And so I gave them incorrect information before I realized what they really wanted. And then I gave them slightly closer to the correct information, but it still did not help me to cut even on my costs at all. So they ended up annoyed with me because they felt like I was changing my rates, and I ended up losing money. So it was a good lesson for me in not giving quotes before I fully understand what I'm getting myself into. People don't quite understand when you're making stilt covers how much fabric you need just to make a set of stilt covers, and that when a lot of this fabric is $10, $12 a yard, I mean, even low end, if it's $8 a yard, a lot of times you're looking at anywhere from $60 to $80 in fabric alone just for the stilt covers or the stilt pants or whatever it is that's covering those stilts. Because they have to be kind of big enough to flow around the stilt. They don't look right if they're tight, if they go too tightly around the stilt. And yeah, it can be expensive to make them. That's one of the reasons why I use Stiltcovers so much. What am I making? I'm making Stiltcovers for a dryad costume that I'm building. So these are tree trunks. And they take a long time to paint. So yeah, one of the nice things with the silk covers is that a lot of times I can use the same silk covers for multiple costumes. Because, for example, once I have a set of pink silk covers, like I have some pink silk covers that I use for my Easter costume, and I use for my little like girly pig costume for Pig on the Pond. And I used them for, I did a quinceanera that was Candyland themed, and so I used them for that. So once I have a set of stilt covers that works for a lot of different things, I don't end up having to build new ones for every costume. I tell stilt walkers that are looking into walking and to getting kind of a basic set of costumes together, the first thing that you need is a set of black stilt pants, and if you're female, you need a set of black stilt covers because they can go with so many different costumes. It's such a convenient thing to have. I actually have I've got a regular cloth set of black silk covers that are great for like dress up events too, because I can put a like a black vest and a white shirt and make it kind of tuxedo-y, make it a dress, but with a little pair of black shorts. It's kind of a cute, sexy, but dress up kind of event kind of thing. It works really well. Um, but I also have a pair of leather stilt covers, leather black stilt covers, because for a while I was doing stilt walking for one of the Harley Davidsons around here. This was way back. And so I had leather stilt covers and then a leather, like a biker vest kind of thing, and leather shorts. And it was a really cute costume, but I know nothing about motorcycles. I literally know nothing about motorcycles. And I mean, at a Harley event, everybody there is there because they know about motorcycles. And so the only way I could get away with being there was just plain dumb. I'm sure anybody who walked in probably thought that I had an IQ of 20. I played dumb. I played ditzy because it was better than being like, I have no idea what any of these things are or anything about them. I didn't. So I played into a stereotype. I'm ashamed to admit that I completely played into a stereotype, but I really liked working the gig and I wanted to keep getting called. So, and I learned a little bit as I went back. I couldn't repeat any of it to you today because it was a while ago, but it was an experience. So I'm getting these little, I don't know if you can even see, yeah, you probably can, oh, because I pulled the silk covers down so you can't even see anymore. But it's probably too close. I'm getting these chunks of like, this light brown that I used was old and it was pretty gross and chunky. And it's coming out looking almost like some sort of a growth on the tree, but it kind of works. You know how you go in the forest and on one side of the tree there will be the kind of lichen? It's almost got this licheny sort of look, which is really interesting. I am so glad I covered this table in plastic because I am making a mess. I recently rearranged all of my costumes in the closet over there. And I was surprised how many I have over the years and things that I hadn't worn in years that I hadn't been able to. I've got a little party kind of family, just generic blues and purples and little shorts and things that are good for just going to birthday parties and making balloons and things, school carnivals. And I hadn't really used that in a lot of years. I have this really pretty ocean stilt that's got netting and things like that. Just a gorgeous stilt costume that I haven't had an opportunity to use in years. But now I need to look for an opportunity because it's so pretty. Then again, it's a pair of pants with stilt covers attached. I doubt those pants would even fit me anymore. That was probably 15 years ago and before children. My hips were skinnier then. I've got this Winter Queen, and hers is really pretty because she's got a light up crown because the event that I would do was often at night. It was for the light up the city ceremony around Christmas time. And so I had a crown that had little lights and batteries and it would light up. And then there was a boa too that lit up. It was a wedding dress that was converted into this Snow Queen kind of thing, kind of look. Pretty little costume. But also very hot. because it was long sleeve. So it kind of worked at night if the weather was cool enough. But I live in Florida, so even in December, 9 times out of 10, it is going to be hot in December. So, so I tended to default to my elf costume when I could, because it was just a whole lot more comfortable. I'm going to turn these things around. I'm getting a little worried because this has used up a lot of paint, and I've got to get the other stilt cover done too. And I'm getting a little bit worried that I'm going to use up all of this paint on one stilt cover. I think what I might do, since I've left the top part, is I might drop this and work on the other one and then finish this one off, because if I have to switch colors, at least the two tops will be the same and the two bottoms will be the same. I also didn't think through the fact that I now need to put this on the floor and hope I don't get paint all over the floor. Maybe I can put it on that side of the table and then put this one on this side of the table, because I really don't want to have to scrub paint off the floor later. Ugh, this is from that wig. This is all pieces that are pulled off from the wig. There's also cat hair. I have 2 cats. They have cuddled up to my stilt covers. This is looking a little lighter here. I had to go through a whole bunch of cans of spray paint, and I tried balancing out the colors as well as I could, but I didn't worry about it too much if I ran out, because it's a tree. So the wood can be different colors in different places. But I don't want it to look completely different, like I just gave up and used completely different paints at different times. So it's all about balance. Way back when, on the first videos, when I started painting this, I had in mind that I was going to paint the entire things in acrylic, and learned really quickly that there wasn't enough money because it took forever. There wasn't enough money, there wasn't enough time. It was using up so much acrylic paint. So it just made more sense to do them in spray paint, at least to get in the cracks and crevices, and then to take acrylic to go over the top, which was way smarter. I'm hoping that this acrylic too will, I've had the silk covers sitting out on my porch because they just smelled so spray painty, and it was such a strong smell, and I'm hoping that the acrylic will also help to mask that spray painty smell. They're not as bad as they were, but they still definitely have a spray paint kind of smell to them. Instead of smelling like spray paint, they're just going to smell like acrylic paint. Oh, hi, Drunk Dragon. Aren't you supposed to be rehearsing right now? Here you are watching me. I'm going to tell. Well, I feel like if I needed 7.5 hours streaming left, I could get 7.5 hours just in these stilt covers. I'm not going to, because it really wouldn't be interesting to anyone, but I could do it. Gosh, I hope these don't take 7.5 hours. I feel like they will. I mean, not to do this base coat. This base coat won't take 7.5 hours, but I'm not going to be able to get away with just, I say base coat, but this is like the second coat. The base coat is the dark brown. But yeah, I feel like there are so many layers ahead of me. I don't know. I don't know what to do. But every new layer makes them look better. I'm excited. I feel like these are going to be really, really, really cool. Maybe. I hope. I hope they're not just cool to me. What's my favorite book? That's a really random question. But no, you know what? My favorite book, it's gonna be weird. This is gonna not be nerddom book, and it's gonna be all sappy and nostalgic, and people are gonna be like, it's a stupid book. But it's because it's sappy and nostalgic. My favorite book in the whole world is The Secret Garden. I loved that book. I love that book so much that I won't read that book to my kids. I won't read it to school kids. I won't read it to anyone because I can't do the accents. And it's just not right if you can't do the accents. It doesn't sound right. You can read them and you can hear them in your head, and I just can't make the accents work coming out of my mouth. So I even tell kids at, that I work with, I say, read this book. It's an amazing book. Here's the reason I won't read it to you. But enjoy it, love it. It's such a good book. So yeah, I am currently reading the Harry Dresden series, sort of again. I'm on the 4th book, which I've read. I read the first through the 6th, maybe, I think. But there's a lot more out since, so I'm catching up on the stuff that I read maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and then I'm going to finish reading the series, kind of catch up. But it's just taking me longer to get through it than it normally would because I've been so busy. So, but I like it. I've talked about this before, but on this channel, I am in a D&D campaign that takes place in modern day Boston. And we play on Tuesday nights, although we had a special episode last Friday. And it feels so Dresden. It feels so much like these books I'm reading because it's modern day, but there's still fantasy. There's still elves and wizards and stuff like that. And it just feels so Dresden. Actually, we've got a plot line going on that has to do with the Fae courts, and some of the Dresden books get into kind of Fae court stuff. And it's not exact, but it's reminiscent of the Dresden Fae court stuff. And so on those nights when I wish I was playing D&D because it would be really, really fun, and I miss all of the amazing people that I play with, and wish that it was a Tuesday, that's what gets me through. I read some Dresden. Technology is amazing. Vacation on a beach in summer or winter in a log cabin. In a log cabin? I don't know. Winter might be nice in a log cabin. I'd probably just stay in the cabin the whole time. I'd go out if I could go skiing or something. But crackling fire in a log cabin? Oh, that'd be nice. But I'm definitely more of a summer person than a winter person. I like warm weather. But I was saying that technology is so amazing because we have a home game campaign with people that are local. But this particular game, the modern day Boston D&D, is online. It's a streaming game that we all live fairly far apart from each other. We've never actually been able to get together to play live, and live all in the same room. And it's so cool that we live in this age where you can say, yeah, my friends that I play D&D with, and these are people that live in different states, that live far away from each other, that can't actually be in the same room together, but somehow they're your friends and you play D&D with them. Like, technology is so cool. That could have happened in the same way 10 years ago, and it really couldn't have happened at all longer than that. 20 years ago. It's amazing. It's fun. So we've got some interesting stuff coming up on Tuesday that I'm really excited about. We got to play an extra game on Friday because some things happened, and there ended up being an open spot on the channel that we jumped in to fill, and we jumped in gladly to fill because we love to play. And Gosh, it was a lot of fun. I never played D&D as a kid. I didn't even know anybody who played D&D as a kid. I kind of kept to myself. I wasn't super social. I did theater more when I was older as a kid, but I just didn't have friends that did that, and there's a little part of me that feels like I missed out. Because it's just fun. It's just this whole other fantasy world of group storytelling that is really hard to explain to somebody else who's never played it before. Thank you. I hope they're going to be really cool long tree legs. I put some pictures up on the Discord common room the other day, and probably a few weeks ago at this point. And now it was when they were not even fully painted brown yet. Actually, what I should do is I should put our Discord up. But yeah, I put some pictures up of them on with stilts and everything. One of these days I'll have to take a picture of what I have so far. The legs with the wig, with the corset, and see kind of where we are. Oh, thank you, subs! That was awesome. I got to the exclamation point in the D, but I hadn't actually sent it yet. Yay, thank you, subs. But yeah, I'll have to get a picture up there and show some stages of what I have now. Ooh, I'm running low on this paint. I think I can get through the end of these to keep it balanced looking. I'm getting a little bit nervous. It really looked like a lot of paint when I started. It's amazing how fast I go through it. This foam is just sucking up every bit of the paint. And it's drying a little bit darker, a little redder than I want it to. But I think it'll be okay once I add some other texture onto it. I also saw at the store the other day, and I want to get the real stuff because I feel like they'll fall apart too easily, but I found some synthetic moss. It was a little pricey for me, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get it or not, but I thought it could look really neat on this. I just wanted to debate. I wanted to try painting some moss on first because I thought with sponge painting I might be able to get the same sort of look without having to pay a ridiculous amount of money and the amount of time that it was going to take to individually cut out the pieces of moss to glue on. So my initial plan is try painting on some moss at some point. My backup plan is buy some moss. So this is the table that we play D&D on for our home game on Mondays. And I wanted to make sure that everybody didn't get here on Monday and find a table that was covered in paint. So I got some painter's cloth and I put everything down. So it's splattering a little bit, but it's not splattering off the plastic. So I think I'm going to be okay. I'm really excited about these being done. I want to see them finished. I still feel like I'm far away from that, but I mean, I'm not too far away. They've got to be done in the next 2 weeks. So one way or the other, they're going to be done. I may have some really late nights ahead of me. I may be doing some 2 a.m. streaming. I work a very typical traditional 9 to 5 sort of job. And it honestly often goes more hours than that. And then I have lots of after job responsibilities with chauffeuring smaller people to various extracurriculars. And so there's not a lot of extra time in the work week for streaming things. And that little bit of time that I have is often streaming other things. So yeah, I'm definitely going to have to find some extra cracks and crevices in my hours over the next couple of weeks just to make this happen. Either that or I'm going to need a time turner. If anyone has any leads on a time turner, I will willingly listen and follow up. Subs, do you have any? Oh, I forgot the whiteboard today, Subs. I don't have anything to write on it. But you were the one that told me to get a whiteboard. Oh, actually, I do. It's right down there. I just don't have a marker. A whiteboard with no marker. Oh, how close am I? Oh my gosh. I'm like halfway around this darn tree. And I'm going to need some more light paint. I think I'm all out of my light paint. But this technique is helping my brush a lot. I was saying earlier, I was scraping the foam brush onto the foam, and it was just tearing apart this foam brush. This technique works way, way, way better. Since I've already destroyed one foam brush and I only have one foam brush left, I really need it to preserve because I don't want to have to stop in the middle of this and have to wait until I can find another foam brush. And I don't want to change the look by switching over to the foam makeup brush because I think it's going to change the look too much. I keep getting worried because I keep looking over at the other one and going, wow, this looks really, really, really different than the other one. I don't think it's that I don't think my paint color has changed much. I mixed a lot of colors together and I thought I mixed them pretty well. But I think it's that it's drawing darker. I'm hoping. If not, I'm going to have to go back on that side and try to balance out this color a little bit so it looks a little bit more like this side. But at least I'm getting some good textured look to it. I'm wondering how it's showing up on camera. Like, I keep moving it down. Like I can see it, but in mine it's so tiny. Oh, you know what? I think I can switch to a different image. And then I can see it better. No, not right now. That's all right. Yeah, everything's really tiny for me on the camera, so it's hard to see what it's looking like, if it's really even showing up much. Thank you guys for joining me. I am just painting a tree. I'm really, really excited about how this is going to look. Now that I can see the wig, now that I've seen how the wig looks, I think it's going to look really cool. I've just got to get that the crown done. And seeing that the tree, this is doable. The tree legs are coming along. I think they're going to have good texture to them. I'm starting to think that this actually could be a really neat costume, something a little different and a little unique. We'll see. Got to go back and look at some of those. Maybe I shouldn't. I was going to say some of the costumes from past years. I looked at last year's TwitchCon costumes, and they were just intimidating. They were so beautiful. I was talking a few episodes about the wings. There was somebody created some wings for this. I don't even remember what the costume was. It wasn't an angel. It was some sort of a winged being with 6 articulating wings, 3 on each side. And they were seriously the most beautiful wings I had ever seen in a costume. Just stunning. Just so beautiful. They were so pretty that it made me decide that whatever I wanted to create was not going to have wings. Because I do not have the technological skill to do whatever they did to make those wings look like they did. They were absolutely intimidating. So there's just some talented, amazing people out there. Anyway. This paint, the paints that I mixed together, 2 of them were this really, really light, really gross looking paint that's really old. And it just came out chunky. I was hoping that it was going to kind of dissolve in with the rest of the paints, and I'm getting a lot of chunky pieces of it. But it's turning out okay. It's actually getting the little chunks of the super light brown is looking better than I thought it was going to, because it gives it an extra kind of textured look. So I'm kind of just going with it. It works. The whole point was I wanted the top layer of the tree to be a lighter color than the bottom layer, or than the inside layer, so that it would stand out more. I also spray painted these outside, so I keep finding little bits of grass and sticks and outside sorts of things stuck in it. If you are just hanging out in the chat, feel free to say hello or ask questions. I'll be happy to answer questions about what I've been doing so far. If you are watching this on YouTube, which you wouldn't be right now, but if you are at some point, I am over on the Plaster Dragon on Twitch. And we stream all sorts of things. We stream a lot of RPG types of games, D&D, and we've done quite a few games of Fiasco. We're taking a little break from Fiasco right now, but we're probably going to get back into it at some point. We've been doing some games like Jackbox lately, which has been a lot of fun because people can get involved in those. We've got D&D 5e, but we've got a traditional game that's set in Faerun, and then we have a couple of games that are set in modern day a game that's set in modern day Boston, and a game that is set in DC. The Boston one is Something Wicked This Way Comes, and it's on Tuesdays at 9 Eastern Time. And the DC one is Web of Lies, and that is every other Friday at 9 Eastern Time. But yeah, and then our home game that is a little bit more traditional 5e is on Mondays at 7 o'clock. So I have that tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to it. We've been playing that game for a year and a half, maybe longer. And we haven't been streaming it that long. We just started streaming it about 3 months ago. And it's kind of starting to wind down, and in its final kinds of stages, we're getting ready to kind of do our big battles and ending stuff, and which is bittersweet. It's good. It's time. It's time for the characters to finally confront the big bad and that sort of thing. But yeah, when you put that much time into a game, there's a bittersweet quality to it when you know that it's coming to an end. We've had so many players over the amount of time that have been a part of it and then moved on because they had other things going on in their lives, and you know, it's just been this massively epic journey in real life and out of real life of just people coming and going and discovering D&D and discovering these characters, and it's been really neat to see and to be a part of. I'm really hoping I can scrape enough paint to get all the way around to the other side. I'm really, really close. But I am right down at the bottom of the barrel as far as this paint goes, and I'm still not going to get to the top. But I'm trying to at least finish off the bottom areas. I've gotten to the point, I started off on the other side, so at least I've gotten all the way around it. I'm just trying to get up to the top enough to keep it balanced from the other. And it does look like it is a slightly different color, like I got down to a lighter paint. But that's okay. We'll get this. It's gonna happen. I've also got some extra spray paint that I found when I was looking for these sponge brushes. It's in some various colors of brown, so maybe I can accent this a little bit with that. I think I'm gonna have to break down and get some more acrylics though to get this top part done. I just don't want it to look too different than the bottom part. Well, I got all the way around. I'll let it dry a little bit. I want to see them from a distance. I need to look, but I think, actually, you know, I can see them in camera a little bit. The light paint does make the lines stand out a lot better. That's good. We're getting there. Put some of this light onto the other side a little bit. Okay, so you know how in forests you get lichen that grows on one side and not the other? It's like the north side of the tree or something. That's what we're going for. That's why it's so light on one side. Sure. I'm trying to scrape this and at least get it to balance out just a little bit and get some of this light over there. Well, okay, so here's where I am right now. I've got the two Stiltcovers. Ooh, can you see? Okay, so I've painted the bottom parts, but when I get to the top parts, they're not quite painted yet. They're still all brown. So I've got to catch up on those, but they certainly look way better than they did. They're standing out a lot more. I need to get some more light brown paint. But what I might do is use this opportunity, since I'm here anyway, to test out a little bit of that green and see what happens when I use that. Okay. It's a nice dark green. This is these were all just in a box. I don't even know how old they are. This is called Jungle Green. It's not bad. You see there? Okay. It adds some texture in there. It's kind of a mossy look to it. Yeah, putting a little bit of that in there wouldn't be too bad. Maybe not all around, but just in spots, just to give it some color. Especially down towards the bottom. Yeah, let's put some jungle green on there. Yay for jungle green. feel like at a certain point, if I put enough colors on here, it's got to look good, right? Just keep adding color. I can justify any color, right? Purple liking, green liking. It's a tree, right? I remember taking an art class and them talking about how many colors are in a person's skin, that like you don't just, when you're painting or drawing, you're not just picking a color. And I think they talked about in that makeup class, that I wasn't in the makeup class, but I was a guinea pig in the makeup class. They were basically doing their makeup project on me, and about all the colors that were kind of, that went into doing the flesh tone or whatever. And so I kind of feel like this is the same thing. All the different colors that go into the tree tone. There's some greens and some browns and some reds and some purples. Ooh, that's a little too much. Got a little exuberant. It's okay, I'll go over with some brown later. What time is it? 6:48. Feels like I've been doing this longer than an hour. But then again, if I have 7.5 hours more stream time I have to do, which is now 6.5 more hours. Yay, me. Yeah, it's funny how this costume, which has taken me easily 30, 40, I don't know, longer, 50 hours, just cutting the foam itself was a ridiculous amount of time. But I'm getting worried about not having enough hours into it, but it's just because I don't have enough hours in front of the camera. Ugh. So I need to get some more hours in front of the camera working on it. This sponge is really, really convenient for doing this work, though. It gives it such a better look than a brush. Oh, I like that better. I wish I'd done that initially. Scraping the sponge on there is working with its natural texture. And it looks a little bit better. It makes it a little less splotchy. I don't know. It's tearing up the sponge, but it looks good. Oh, and that area where I kind of went overboard, it looks way better with that. Yay! All right, well, let's do this on the other side. That's pretty. I like that. It's not done. It still needs more, but that's not too bad. This could be a thing. feel like at any point that silk cover is going to fall on the floor and I'm going to be cleaning up paint. Hopefully the green will also help to balance out the fact that this other stilt cover is looking a little more reddish right now. Well, that one's looking a little lighter. I'm going to need to find some more light paint. Because right now they just don't match quite as much as I want them to. I may have a craft store trip in my future. I need to make a mental note of what I need. I need some lighter color acrylic paint. I need more sponge brushes, like 3 more, 4 more, 7 more. I need some sort of a green cording or ribbon, but I want it to look like vines for that corset. So I've got to see what they have that will have a look that I want. Because since it zips, once I get it adjusted, it's pretty much just the size I need it. I don't have to change it a lot, tighten it a little bit, but not by much. So it's more about look. The corset itself, when it came, was it had 2 sets of ribbons, one that went down and one that went up, so that you can tie it super, super tight. But I'm not as worried about it being super, super tight. I'm more worried about just it looking right as the costume. I mean, once I have it adjusted to the correct tightness, I can just zip it up. So the ribbon that I use needs to be strong enough to hold, but it's really more about the aesthetic look than how great it is for tying corsets. Yay! Oh, I like this. Okay. Oh, this is fun. Yep, gonna need more foam brushes. Yeah, and those two, like there and there, look completely different. I don't know if you can see as well, but this has all of this light that's really showing up, and then this is a more reddish. So I need to balance it out somehow. I need to find a lighter color that balances, where I can just go over everything with some splotches to just balance it out a little bit more. They don't have to look exactly alike, but I want them to look a little bit more alike than they look now. You know what? And just for funsies, did I say funsies twice? I feel like I've already said this. I want to try a little bit of I want to try a little bit of that purple just to see what it does. Ooh, I like that. Just a little bit here and there, not a lot. But it's just got a nice little magical sort of look to it. Just for accent. Might not do purple now, use that kind of later on. But yeah, a little bit of that's kind of pretty. Now I'm going to do a little bit now because I really like it. This is some old purple paint. Oh gosh, it's pretty gross. It's kind of oozing out in a pretty disgusting way. Woohoo! Yeah, it's probably better to do a little bit of the purple now, because that way as I go over in some other colors, the purple is going to kind of be behind them. So it'll peek through. It won't be super intense because it's a little much. But just a little bit of subtle purple in there is really nice. I don't want to do too much too, because since I've got a fall kind of motif. Maybe with the brush. The purple's kind of a cool color. And so I'd rather stick to more oranges and yellows and things like that. But a little bit of purple in there. Tiny bit. That's a lot. Nope. Just might give it an interesting sort of look. It's pretty. It's almost like blacklight. Like that look that comes up in blacklight. It just gives it this slightly magical look to it. That's really pretty. I'm going to pull the other one up. Need a little more paint. Okay, this is the lighter set of Stiltcovers, and that purple's standing out a little bit more than I wanted to here. I have to be a little kinder with it. Careful. Boy, at this point, the more colors I add to this, the nicer it looks. I feel like at this point, I just need to keep layering colors on. I've seen purple lichen before. This is totally a thing, right? I like that. It may be too much, but I like it. And in the end, they're my Stiltcovers. I'm wearing them. If it's a little too much, then I'm going to own it. It's almost this glowy look. All right. I think I'm about at the end of my paint. Oh my gosh, there's so much paint on the floor behind me, and I just stepped in a whole bunch of purple paint. All right, well, on that note, since I can't really do anything else since my hands are covered in paint, and I just stepped in purple paint, so I need to clean that up, and I need to get these Stiltcovers to dry, and I need to get ribbon for the corset, buy some more light colored paint, buy some more sponge brushes, and figure out what the heck I'm going to do for the crown for the wig, because I am not sure yet. I guess that's a good stopping point for me. So, and it's 7 o'clock, so it's a nice round hour. I mean, it's 7 o'clock for me. I don't know what time it is for you, but so it's a nice round time. So thank you so much for joining me. I can't tell you what I'm going to be doing the next time I work on this, but I do know it will be soon because I have a lot of work to do in a little bit of time. There's a good chance I'm going to try to jump on tomorrow and do a little bit of Cali's Corner stuff. And yeah, get these Stiltcovers finished, get the crown started, figure out what the heck I'm doing with the corset, and I don't know, move on from there. But thank you, and I will see you guys later. Bye. And on stream right now.